With Joe McKnight battling an ankle injury, perhaps he'd use Tim Tebow as a running back, and Bill Belichick knows Tebow is always a threat to tuck and run.
Tebow was really another run back for him when he gets in there and in his plays, and he can throw too, obviously, but he does a good job running the ball.
Belichick's Patriots at 3-3 off to their worst start in 7 years. Giants 4-2, but those two losses came against division opponents. Another NFC East matchup tomorrow as they play the Redskins at MetLife Stadium. Rutgers undefeated at 6-0, nationally ranked in Philadelphia, playing Temple right now. Under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. And that game is scoreless. Army plays later in Eastern Michigan. Some good rivalry games on the schedule today. Stanford and Cal, Michigan State at Michigan. Ohio State has just scored to go in front of Purdue 7-6. And Texas A&M having a good first year in the SEC is leading LSU at home right now. 9-0 under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter there. And with reports every 20 minutes, Bob, you should WFAN 2020 Sports.
I'm looking this up one by one. It has changed a lot. The last few years, we've had 3 seeds mostly that have made the
making the finals.
Lowest seed to ever win were the Rockets, who were the 5 seed. We don't know about the Knicks being 8 and a lot.
And the Rockets were a defending champion.
They were the defending champion that year from 94. 95, they were the 5 seed. That's the lowest seed to ever win. The basic point is obviously right, that the best teams usually win in the NBA.
To me, the point is there's a far greater separation between the top 2 or 3 teams in the NBA season and the top, and the 6 or 7 teams in baseball. That's the big difference.
Oh, and I think that's the same case in football now with baseball.
Correct.
You've got me. Look at last year. The Giants won 9 games.
Yes, there's not as big a separation.
The separation isn't as great. Let's go back to the phone. Sweetie Moody obviously joining us till 1 o'clock. 877-337-6666. Jerry in Manhattan. You're on the fan, Jerry.
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Hi, Jerry.
Yeah. The Dodgers got 50 million back contract. I think they would really try to get rid of it. Most of them are 1-year deals. They got Beckett for 2 years at 30 million. Maybe 12 million. Rebate 7 million. For Ryan 7 million. Ellis 5 million. That's 16 million altogether. You take that deal, pay $5 million each, and get rid of A-Rock, and maybe you have to throw in a logo of you. So basically, the Dodgers are going to be paying about $30 million A-Rock contract, and they're going to get Hughes or logo. I think that's the way to go and trade them. They'll have to pay a lot of money from 2013, but from 2014, before that comes.
The money will be gone. Right, because for the first years, taking back your rebate and a ring may not be too bad.
I'm not sure they're willing to give it. I don't think they're willing to give up Hughes and Nova at this point. I mean, I know Nova was basically sidelined at the end of the season because he wasn't pitching well. I don't think that's the trade the Yankees are willing to make, is trading away pitching like that. Just to get rid of Alex Rodriguez?
Yeah. Are you that desperate to get rid of A-Rod that you're willing to hurt your team in other areas?
I don't think so.
And you're hurting your team.
It says makes sense. Makes sense is what the Yankees would do with any of their players. That doesn't make sense.
Ozzy and Woodbridge on the fan.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Hi, Ozzy.
Some very narrow-minded and naive Yankee fans are devaluing the effect of A-Rod sending that ball into the stands on the team. They're only looking at it in effect on Game 2. It had no effect on Game 2. The effect it had was on Game 3 and 4.
What effect did it have?
Okay, now hear me out. If you ever played a team sport in your life, now you have a pariah in your clubhouse who looks you in the face and says, I'm here for you, I'm your teammate, I support you. But yet his actions say, while you're struggling, while you're about to lose 2 in a row at home, while your captain went down the night before, he's spending his attention on looking at girls in the stands, and it wasn't only a 5-second thing to send the ball. You got to scope out the stands. You got to make eye contact. Then after you send the ball, and you're looking back and forth.
Sounds like a guy that's done this before. You sound like an expert on the ball getting away.
While I hear what you're saying, that's not why the Yankees lost.
No.
Those players didn't go out there striking out because they were looking at Alex Rodriguez funny for doing what he did. They just didn't hit.
Of course.
That's all it is.
Look,
stop looking for bigger reasons.
Blaming Alex Rodriguez outside of the fact that he hit like garbage is ridiculous. And I really believe this. All right? I believe that a lot of players do what Alex Rodriguez did.
Oh, yeah.
I believe.
I don't know how many of them do it in a playoff game.
I don't
extra
know.
innings.
I don't know how many do it in extra innings. I don't know how many do it in playoff games. I'm sure it's been done before. The difference is it never gets reported with other guys. With A-Rod, everything gets reported. It really does.
Yeah.
A-Rod hanging out with a stripper in Toronto. Oh, other baseball players don't do that? Yeah, I'm sure.
People can't wait to knock him down again.
Of course. And look, A-Rod sets himself up a lot. Don't get me wrong.
He does.
But sometimes we attack him for things that like everybody else.
He just doesn't. But he doesn't. He wants everybody to think he's smart, and he just keeps doing dumb things.
Yeah, it really does. Rob and Ramsey on the fan. Hello, Rob. Rob going once. Rob is gone. Ralph in Manhattan. You're on with Sweeney. What's up, Ralph?
Evan Sweeney, radical move, Sweeney, for pinch hitting for Alex the first time with Ibanez. It made me jump out of my chair, frankly. I couldn't believe that. You're going to tell me that you sit in Alex Rodriguez and let alone the Curtis Anderson, we'll keep him on the secondary tier there. But Sweeney, I think, and this is the conspirators' point of view, I think that they in an effort to rid themselves of Alex Rodriguez, run him out of town, so to speak, they sacrifice winning.
I disagree with you, Ralph. They would not sacrifice an attempt to win just for Alex Rodriguez. The Yankees know that
there has to be. Pardon me. There has to be an agenda of some sort because you do not sit and Alex Rodriguez.
If you think he can help you win, no, you don't sit Alex Rodriguez. Here, that's the problem here, Ralph. Think about this. I think we all, myself included, Evan, you too. I think we all feel like we know a lot about baseball, and we think we know more than these guys sometimes. The guys who run the game know a whole lot about baseball. What does it tell you that they thought Alex Rodriguez couldn't help them win the game?
I think that Alex Rodriguez showed you through the first 5 games, and not even game 5 because he didn't start, and the first 2 games of the ALCS, that he wasn't going to be helpful, especially against power-throwing right-handed pitchers. And I really believe that sitting Alex Rodriguez was not something that was that nuts. Now, the problem was the guy that replaced him did nothing.
Didn't do it. Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Didn't get hit. But here's the other thing. People say, why is he being singled out? Why wasn't Granderson benched? Why wasn't Swisher benched?
Granderson was benched.
Eventually. But why was, people think that A-Rod was being, why wasn't Cano benched? Well, they don't have anybody else to play those spots. They had a guy who had a very good season and happened to bat left-handed, ready to play third base. If they had these same other options available for these guys, then you're going to say Ibanez for Swisher. I don't think they wanted Ibanez in the outfield. They saw during the course of the season that it was to their benefit to have him only as a DH, not in the outfield.
What I find funny is that, and I've heard this about Joe Torre when the Yankees would go through struggles, how come Joe didn't change anything? How come Joe didn't bench this guy? How come Joe didn't do anything?
So when they did, all of a sudden it's like, oh, how can you do it?
Right. I think if Joe Girardi did nothing, if he did nothing and the same result happened,
he'd be getting killed for it.
He'd be getting and I'd be crushing him. I'd say, come on, try something. I commend this manager. I commend him. His lineup was doing nothing, and he said, I'm not going down without a fight. I'm going to try anything. I'm going to throw anything against the wall. He hit Robbie Cano second. Give it a try. He sat Nick Swisher. Great. He sat A-Rod. How can you blame the guy? I commend this manager.
I said this to him a couple of times during the postseason, where I think around the rest of the world, we think making out the lineup card has to be the easiest job of being Yankee manager. You got all these great players here. They're all making millions of dollars. They're all superstars. Throw any lineup you want up against the wall, and you're going to score 6 runs and win the game. It became the hardest thing that Joe Girardi ever had to do was make out a lineup.
I think the toughest thing Joe Girardi had to do, and maybe someday he'll write a book about it like Joe Torre, was going to Alex in the 9th inning of Game 3 against the Orioles and saying, Alex, I'm pinch hitting for you. That had to be the most difficult thing he's done. Because after that, the shock was over. After that, it was like, okay.
And mostly because of the result, too.
Oh, well, to be easy.
If Ronald Ibanez had struck out on a couple of sliders and just didn't catch up to a fastball, whatever happened, I mean, they probably would have lost long before that.
Right.
I don't know if